Coming to you live from the On Air Media Studios here in Dallas, Texas. Welcome to Sound Bites with Susan and Waylon, where we take a short extraction of our daily lives as publicists to share with you all and our audiences abroad. My name is Waylon Tate with J. Waylon and Associates.
And I'm Susan Friedman of Friedman Marketing and Public Relations.
Good morning. It's Monday.
It's Monday. Yes, it's another Monday. And actually, we have an amazing guest, and I actually said she is a serial entrepreneur. She's very busy, and we are honored to have her here today. It's Leah Frazier.
Yay, Leah.
She is so well known in the fashion industry as a fashion consultant and the blogger of inspireinstyle.com.
Yes.
You do a lot of basically everything. Whenever I talk to you, you have so much going on. I mean, she's on the board also. You just were elected on the board of SGI.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so much more. So thank you so much for being on our show.
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you
really
guys
excited.
for having me.
This is season 2 for us. So we're maybe combined, we're what, 12, 13, 14, 15 episodes in, something like that. So it's exciting to kind of see our own growth. And with that, we get to bring on, friends. And now I feel like we're getting to a platform where we get to bring on, some real movers and shakers. And I have to say, I call them red carpeters. Folks that I see never in like private settings, right? Like we talked the last time I saw you at actually your event. Whenever I saw Leah, and I was like, we really have to get together for coffee.
Yeah, the symphony.
But there's just a certain group that exists kind of in the DFW culture scene that I only see on red carpets,
Or in the press.
Or in the press. And
You can find me at Starbucks on Mockingbird Lane. I mean, if you really want to find me, that's where I'm at most of the time.
So tell us a little bit about you, the audience that may, the ones to twos of peoples out there who wouldn't know who you are.
Yes. You have a really interesting background. Leah was actually a former attorney who had to make a difficult decision to get to where she is, and a good decision to get to where she is. Yes. Can you give us, I know we don't have that much time to tell your entire history, but if you could give us a little background, that would be great.
Yes, a baby book.
The baby book. Well, yes, like you said, former attorney, took the bar here in Texas, started in private practice doing consumer finance, and then went on to take the bar 3 years later in California, passed that on the first time while working full time.
Right.
And then a month later was sworn in before the United States Supreme Court. And all that time I had a personal shopping business on the side that I just started as a hobby to help women at the firm that was always, where'd you get your shoes and your cute bag? And so I'm like, let me help you out. I'll go shopping. So I was doing that on the weekends. And I was like, I really love to do this. And I started blogging as well. And that's how you and I connected, Susan, when I was in Houston, because I was a fashion reporter for the Examiner and it just blew up. And I'm like, I can't do this much longer.
Right.
It was 7 years of me just hustling and doing both and having this double life until I realized, like, I really love fashion. I love writing. I love meeting amazing people. And I was great at the law, but this is something that gets me up out of my sleep in the morning. I was like, I have to make it work. So
it is such, and I talk about her all the time on the show, but Oprah just gave the commencement ceremony speech at Harvard, right? And so I watched the video yesterday, and she talks so much about being, she would never be as good of a Barbara Walters as she would be of an Oprah Winfrey. And she's talking about living your authentic life. And it seems like to some degree you went through that, right? What a laudable, goal, and I mean, to even get a law degree and then to pass the bar on the first time. Overachiever. But at some point, you really did have to reconcile. Although this is something I have ability to do, is this something that I'm passionate about doing?
Right.
And so maybe, what helped make that decision for you?
I think I had an amazing business coach, which I tell this story all the time about. I was actually in-house counsel for one of the nation's top banks. So working there, they pretty much work with you to own. I was working on getting my first home. I was really excited. I was making amazing money. And so you start doing these pros and cons, but at the end of the day, I started thinking about my happiness and that joy that I got when I was able to make over a woman and her husband call me and say, my wife is back, or, you know, she was going through some sort of postpartum depression after having her second kid and didn't recognize her body, but you helped her get that confidence back. And you really can't assign a price tag to that.
That's right.
And so my business coach was like, look, Leah, there's a difference between your talent and your gift. And you have a gift, and that's what you can eventually monetize, and just go for it, girl. This is what you're supposed to do. And I just woke up and said, you know, once my temporary contract, my last contract was up legally, I was done, and I just went for it.
My goodness.
So that's your past. So what's going
Yeah.
on in the present? And then we'll talk about the future, like, because there's so much to discuss. So what all do you have going on today?
Today, like you mentioned, I'm now on the board for Fashion Group International, started in Houston, and now I'm a member here in Dallas, and now I'm on the board there. So we have so many events, you know, like
I do know.
Rising Stars,
which
our
is coming
scholarship
up.
competition.
Sponsored by Crudo Vodka.
March 1st.
March 1st, yeah, I know, with Crudo.
You love Crudo vodka.
We love Crudo, of course. We have that coming up. Our scholarship competition is huge. We always send one student to Paris to study couture, and it's amazing. Like, you go to this competition, that's on April 20th, and you see these student designers from UNT and El Centro, and they are incredible, and you just want to cry because of all the money that's being doled out to these kids.
Are submissions still being taken?
That I'm not sure. I'd have to get with Rhonda about, but I know it's the same format in design. They now have a digital section, and women's, men's fashion. Their talent is unmatched. And then you have your celebrity judges, myself included.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, good.
And we get to kind of choose our crowd favorite, and then we get to find out which one of those many students gets to go to Paris during the summer to learn how to do couture.
Wow.
You know what would be really cool is if Rhonda Sargent Chambers sent you and I to do coverage of the event in Paris. Shout out, I'm looking at you, Rhonda. I think that would be an amazing thing for FGI. Not maybe, we would enjoy it too,
Yeah.
but it would definitely be a good thing for
It would be
for FGI.
awesome.
That was a great idea, Waylon.
So what about this new book that's coming out? Tell us about this.
You guys have the exclusive.
Oh, we do? Oh my God. Is it our first exclusive, Susan?
Yes. So I co-authored a book with roughly 9 to 10 other women across the nation, and they're all either entrepreneurs or just like these amazing women that just went after it. There's a film director that's a part of this group. Another one's like a seven-time best-selling author, amazing business coach. And what we do is talk about our successes and failures as entrepreneurs. So out the gate, they told us, we do not want this cushy story.
Right.
We want you to say, I struggled here. This is what it looks like.
That's
I
digging
failed
deep
here.
and, like,
Yeah. So I'm telling personal stories
yeah.
that people see my life on social media, but they don't realize, like, there are days where I didn't know how rent was going to get paid.
Right.
Or, I went from making well over 6 figures. I could travel any weekend that I wanted to, okay, how am I going to make this work? Like, I'm not going back to that. It's not an option. And we have to tell those stories. But towards the end, we have action items for the reader to say, you can do it, and here's what we've learned along the way. And I just think it's going to be super powerful. It's called The Success Factor, and it comes out in May. And we're doing a big launch party here in Dallas, May 6th.
Oh my goodness.
We'll
be
cover
invited,
it.
yes.
Come cover,
We
do
would
red
love to
carpet.
come cover, yes.
That
These
is
women
amazing.
are amazing. Like, sometimes
Will
I'm
all
like,
the
why am I in this
ladies
book?
Will all the ladies be here, or
Yes,
really?
they are flying in. There will be red carpet, which is funny. I'm in the book, and they're like, we still want you to do red carpet coverage as well, and for Inspired
that's
Style.
amazing.
So I'm like, okay, fine,
That
whatever.
is amazing.
I'll interview myself. It'll be an awkward moment, but that's fine.
We'll interview you. We'll interview you.
Yeah, we will. And okay, so we definitely also want to get in. You are presenting at Dallas Startup Week, is that correct?
I am running the fashion track with 2 other co-captains this year. Thank God they gave me help. Ken Weber with Vintage Martini.
Love Ken. He just had a
love
write-up, I think,
Ken.
in D Magazine, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah, it was
on
really,
his
really good.
boutique. And then we have Jen Karsner, who's a makeup artist here in Dallas. I wanted to add a touch of beauty this year because I've done Dallas Startup Week for 3 years prior, and what I do is coordinate sessions for fashion startups so that they can have some takeaways, to apply to their businesses, whether it's how to get investor funding or media and PR, marketing, what's new in social media marketing, all of that they learn at Dallas Startup Week for free. Chase Business sponsors the whole thing.
Wow.
I just plan the sessions and say, show up.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then they do their thing. I've actually
And they do
never
their
been to,
thing.
have you been?
No, I haven't been.
We should go this
It's
year.
amazing. The networking, insane. You meet like the top CEOs come in and give keynotes, and you're just like fired up. Like, okay, I'm ready to do this
love this.
entrepreneurial thing.
No kidding.
So it
That
is
sounds
awesome.
great.
And I'm not supposed to announce it just yet. It'll come officially through Dallas Startup Week, but we have some really major keynote presentations coming this year.
Oh my gosh.
So
That's exciting.
April 2nd through the 6th.
April 2nd through the 6th.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
what I was looking. I was like, when is it? Okay.
April 2nd
And I
through
checked
the
on the
6th.
website this morning, and I think registration's not yet
Not yet.
open.
The next couple weeks.
Okay.
We're actually turning in sessions today.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing, right? So
You have your hands full.
But I love it.
Do
I'm
you?
the biggest nerd.
So what
Like, I
at
love
the
it.
end of the day, what is your game plan? Where do you want to be? That's a hard question.
It's a very hard question because I like my Oprah moments with people where I'm interviewing amazing people that may not have as much exposure, but they have an awesome story. So I want my Oprah media moment, not necessarily because I like to be on TV, because I don't. Sorry. But more so because I just like getting someone else's story out there. So I want a platform like that. I want to be that voice in fashion that finds these amazing designers and highlights their stories and kind of, I feel like the fun has been taken out of fashion right now. People don't shop as much.
It's
So
hard.
I want to bring that excitement back and have a role in it, whether it's through media or through my website. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I want it internationally.
Well, and I think a lot of it just it comes into play. Like, really, there's a lot to be said for like opening yourself up to the universe, right? I mean, think
Yeah.
about everything that's come to you so far. And
Yes.
it's really just by giving space for those things
Yeah.
to
Law
come.
of attraction.
And potentially because it seems very non-self-serving, right? And I can tell you, like, I call myself a storyteller, right? I'm a publicist, but I call myself a storyteller because that's where I get excited as well. Media hits are great, and op-eds and all of that, but I love being able to find like a diamond in the raw and say,
Right.
oh my God, like I have to share your story with the world.
I'm the same way. So we're here, Waylon.
Yeah, we got
We're
yeah.
here.
So, is there anything else that you would like to share with us that we don't know already?
I gave you the exclusive on the book. I'm actually headed to New York City in March for a TED Talk.
That's right.
Really?
You didn't
Oh
know
yes,
that?
no, I did. I saw that. I saw it on social
Yes.
media.
Yes, and they're going to be
Congratulations.
announcing it through their own network. So again, I'm supposed to be like hush hush, but I already kind of pre-announced it. So that will be out in New York City. I'll be talking a lot about the influencer world and the true meaning of influence versus kind of like this fictitious, okay, I have 100,000 social media followers, so
wouldn't-
now I'm an influencer. And I'm like, no,
Not
I
really.
have
No.
like maybe 15K
Yeah.
combined across all my platforms, but I have an engagement with my audience
That's
that's
right.
more that's stronger than someone with 100,000 bot followers
Thank you.
because I just stay true to myself and I'm very authentic.
We try to explain that to our clients too. That
Oh, I have takeaways for businesses and brands at the end of my speech. So
It's
Yeah,
true though,
it's
because
so true.
I mean, so many, and they, a lot of clients will come and they'll want, I just want X amount of followers, right? And I'm like, when you start trying to explain to them like a relevancy factor, and literally broken down mathematically, right? That if you have 150,000 followers on Instagram and you're getting 70 likes on a photo,
Something is-
there's not organic.
they're robots.
They're bots,
fake.
right?
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting, as a publicist, people ask us to hire influencers and pay them to host an event, hoping that their audience will come to the event.
Sure.
And they pay a lot of money. And there's been instances where not one person has shown up, and you're like, does that make you an influencer? It's really interesting to see. That's a great, that's an example of how necessary your speech is.
Yes, I'm excited because I feel like anybody can be an influencer if you go about it in the right way. There's just this stigma that's been attached to social media influencers now that's just kind of corrupted that industry. And I think right now, myself and some of my other colleagues are just trying to balance this out to say, this is what it really looks like. So just don't look at social media followers, look at engagement, look at, even if you have to have some sort of tracking analytical device that they use, to figure out how influential they are, use those, but don't say so-and-so has 150,000 followers, we're going to pay them X amount.
Right.
No, there's someone with 3,000 followers who every time they post, they purchase or they interact with a brand.
It's about lead generation
It
too,
is.
right? Which is really interesting. God, there's so much more we could say, but we know
I
that you have to
know.
skirt.
I know.
So before we go to our short ad with Crudo Vodka, actually, we really just want to say thank you so much for stopping
Thank
by.
you guys.
If people want to find you, what is the best way? On Facebook, a website? I know you have a couple of websites.
I do. LeahFrazier.com is my personal website. There's a contact tab on there, but most likely I'm always on my phone on social media, obviously. So at the Leah Fraser across all platforms, I respond to direct messages all day and all night. So reach out to me there.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Perfect. Thank
Or
you.
find
Hugs
her
and
at
kisses.
Starbucks at Mockingbird.
Yeah, apparently.
Starbucks at Mockingbird Station. I love it there. And Urban Outfitters. So those two places.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
guys.
Yeah, thank you. We'll be right back, you guys.
Love Leah.
Oh
I
my
have a
God.
great story. I have to tell you
Yeah,
this
tell me, please.
about Leah Frazier. So I was working with an event in the fashion industry,
Sure.
and it was Texas-wide. So it was in Dallas and in Houston and in Austin, and I needed a spokesperson in Houston.
Okay.
And so I was searching, and I found Leah's name, who was the fashion expert for Examiner.com at the time.
Nice.
So I was like, well, I called her up and I'm like, will you do a TV segment for me? Totally random, never met her before. And that's how we initially met. And then all of a sudden, like within a month or two, I want to say, she moved to Dallas. She had been planning on it and discussing. And so, yeah, like I have gotten to see her rise very rapidly
Right.
in the fashion industry. It's
No,
been
and
really neat.
It's interesting what you're saying because Leah, since I've known her, has never. There's no pretense, right? She is not lying when she says she really does respond to direct messages. I mean,
Yeah.
she is so incredibly engaged with her audience. It's not always that way, as you and I well know. And I think it's so exciting to see somebody who truly, truly loves what they do.
She's so passionate.
She is super, super passionate. I'm really excited to read her book.
She's inspirational.
She is.
Yeah,
And she uses her platform in positive and meaningful ways, right? So
Yeah.
props to her.
Yeah.
And I really do want to go to Dallas Startup Week.
Done.
Yeah,
I do
we should
too.
totally do it. I'm really excited. So,
Talking about events, how was your weekend?
eventful. Not in the way it normally is eventful, but it was a good weekend. I did have meetings. At some point, I'm gonna have to start just living, right, and being able to separate my personal life from my business life. But it's like maybe because I don't again have a husband. That I just work all the time. So
Right.
I took several meetings and had some smaller events, but yeah, it was kind of a chill
Yeah.
weekend. What about yours?
I worked.
Of course you did, Susan.
No, I also combine work and pleasure, don't get me wrong. But I did go to an event. I represent AC Hotels. We've mentioned them several times
Sure.
throughout past episodes. They are located downtown Dallas. But
It's a
they had
beautiful spot, I
it
have to
is-
say.
Yes. But we had a celebrity photographer. We talked about, influencers. And his name is Danny Diamond, and he is doing a workshop today, and he also did one yesterday on photography.
Oh, Danny Diamond's-
That's Danny Diamond,
cute.
yes. So we had a meet and greet with him on Saturday night, and I attended in my gala attire because immediately following, I went to a Mardi Gras gala called Creux d'Etoile.
Creux d'Etoile.
Creux d'Etoile, and it was absolutely amazing. Tony Dorsett was the king of the event. That's me.
Is that you, Susan?
And actually, I brought the mask. So I don't know if you're familiar with Sherry Tilley and Scott Tilley.
No.
They are the founders and publishers of the Flash List, so they're media. And they invited me, and they did this a beautiful tabletop. They made these from scratch. They did this themselves. Isn't
goodness.
this amazing?
That is amazing.
And it was one of the most fun events that I have ever attended. Like, even Brian and myself went on the dance floor and were dancing. Like, it was, we saw Leah there, and they had live music.
There she
There's
is.
Leah. She looked stunning, as always. But it was just a blast, and it was all for a good cause as well. So,
Where was it at? Where was
it
the
was
venue?
at Fig.
Okay, nice.
Yes.
Nice location.
Yeah. So, yes, next year you need to put that on our. We
Our
need
to-do,
to put
our
that
to-do
on
list.
Our
Yeah,
to-do list.
no, that would be great. We have, is it, Valentine's is this week? Oh my goodness. Ugh. It's like, it is the most, supposed to be like the loveliest, most romantic day of the year. I think that's probably only for
Or
people
it's
who
Singles
are.
Day.
Yeah, or it's Singles Day, right?
And you know what? We through sound bites at Susan and Waylon, we are going to find you a date, a boyfriend, not necessarily for Valentine's. We want it quality and all that, not
Yes.
last minute. But yes.
I need some
so
help.
this guy's single and available.
And educated and
Yes.
smart and.
You know what I saw a lot of this year for promotion for Valentine's, and I actually went to a brunch on Sunday. It's Galentine's. Have you seen a lot of that?
I have, in fact,
Is
I have
that
to
new
say.
this year, or have they always had it and I just now noticed?
Honestly, I don't know, because it's a Galentine's event. I have a really quick
Yeah.
story that I have to tell you that's actually kind of funny. So, obviously, you know, in our role, we help set up events, right, with our clients. And so, again, not to belabor, but we had set up an event with Crudo, with Equinox here in Dallas, the Highland Park location, and Buy Drinks, the beverage, right? And it was called Galentine's, but I didn't understand why it was called Galentine's.
Right.
So when I was on the phone with one of the directors at that location, I was like, funny enough, I wasn't invited. I'm a member at Equinox, that specific location. And he's like, you could tell he was a little bit like,
Like,
how do
are you
I
kidding?
say this? But he's like, you know, it's called Galentine's because it's reserved exclusively for women. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I was about to go in. That's an expensive membership. So I was like, why was I not invited?
I did the same thing. I was invited to a Galentine's brunch, and I'm like, typo.
Of course, you were catching it.
I'm like,
but-
oh, just kidding.
So do they exist? Is this where, I mean, is it kind of like well, I guess I should know this, but is it where a lot of girls who don't have dates kind of get together, they celebrate Valentine's kind of as a group?
I think they celebrate friendship. Well, our event was really sweet. The host broke out the china and had a lovely brunch and Bloody Marys and mimosas, and it was to celebrate friendship.
Oh, okay. I love that. I love that. So maybe I can start Guyentines, and it'll be me and all my guy friends that are
That would
single,
work.
and we can get together. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that, actually. So, and the Pin Show is coming up pretty soon.
I love
right?
the Pin Show. It's where established and upcoming fashion designers, and I don't know how many are participating this year. A lot. It's a platform for them to showcase their talent. And it's not just fashion designers, but it's photographers and
amazing.
stylists and models and retail buyers. And it's a chance for them to network amongst themselves and really showcase what they do. They also have live musicians. I love Sam Lau. She's a local musician here, and she's going to be performing along with Zora and Knight. Right. Tickets are still available. So it's this Saturday at the Bomb Factory, and tickets start at $33. That's
Reasonable.
for standing, general admission, and they go up to about $103 for VIP, which means you get to sit down in the front row, or you have a seated spot. So,
Okay.
yeah, I plan to do that on Saturday, and it's a good time for me because I like to help promote
Sure.
the local artists
I
as
do
well, and so I like to tap in and see, the energy and what's going on and who
Well, and I
has
think
it.
it really keeps us kind of in tune as to local talent. Like, I mean, obviously,
No,
we're
it's our
always
job
going
to know.
Yeah, it is our job to know, and for potential sponsorships or partnerships with local talent. So I'm really really excited about that. Did you get a chance to watch the opening ceremonies of the Olympics?
Yes. Well, we watched. We probably watched like an hour of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
I
have
was-
seen nothing this year, and normally I'm really, really excited about the Olympics, but I just haven't had a chance to participate at
Right.
all by watching.
It was amazing. They did a traditional dance, I guess, and they had drums and just. It seemed like hundreds and hundreds of performers out on the main stage performing, and it was just beautiful. It really was. They did a great job with it. I was impressed.
Okay, and this is the Winter Olympics, right?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, I don't know.
You really
but
aren't watching the Olympics.
I'm not, but I much prefer, if I do watch the Olympics, I like, because I love ice skating and all of that. I think it's just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
In fact, we tried to reach, oh my God, Johnny, gosh, what is his name?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the super, super flamboyant but incredibly talented ice skater who's won a kabillion awards. We reached out to him for an interview. And his publicist actually responded and said he's still in Pyeongchang. So hopefully we'll get to interview him for that. But I'm going to try to put it on my to-do list. Hulu. Every time I sign into Hulu, it's like which are your Olympic favorites, right? Because it'll pull.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
the
cool.
ones that you want. So I'm really excited about that.
So you're not necessarily watching the Olympics, but it seems like the press coverage is so much more than the sports.
Correct.
With the Olympics. It's pretty amazing, everything that's being discussed these days. And from a PR standpoint, I find it really interesting. And we try not to talk about politics on this show.
Sure. Inevitably, we always do, but we try not to.
A little bit. And it's interesting. So we've heard a lot about, have you heard about the banning of the Russian athletes?
No.
No. So Russia got banned from the Olympics because of doping.
Oh, okay.
And instead, they selected, I guess, 168 athletes who were on the Russian, who were participating, are allowed to participate, but not under the Russian name. And it's called OR. A lot of people are like, what country is OR? So OR stands for the Olympic Athletes of Russia. And they can still compete, but they cannot
They can't represent.
They can't represent Russia.
Oh my! I wonder if do they have their own flag? I'm gonna have to check that out.
No, they're
That's
not allowed.
interesting.
No, I don't think that they have their
I wonder
own
if OR
flag, and they're not allowed to use the Russian flag. They're not allowed to hang the Russian flag unless it's inside their room, if the public can't see it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they're not allowed to post anything on social media or anything. So I think it's really interesting from a PR standpoint and
Sure.
marketing standpoint how to control that messaging. Meanwhile, also the Russian fans, of course, they know who the athletes are, so they're still promoting Russia and cheering for Russia, even though the athletes can't.
And I think that it's really unfortunate because regardless of the circumstances, right? You would think that, I mean, there's a lot of patriotism with them, I'm assuming, as there would be here, right? I mean, it's a big deal for an American to represent their country, right, in the Olympic Games. Again, not to be too political, but one of the chosen Olympians from the United States refused a meeting with Mike Pence because he happens to belong to the LGBT community, and Mike Pence is well documented as no friend to the LGBT community. But yeah,
it's all these other things. Of course, North Korea and being in South Korea. I mean, it was a historic moment in which North Korea's president, his sister is attending on behalf of North Korea and actually went to the presidential palace of South Korea. First time ever in the Kim family history, and actually invited South Korea to come to North Korea for a meeting.
What? Okay, now wouldn't that be awesome if, who would have thought, right, that a sporting event could potentially have an impact on geopolitical, I mean.
I'm enjoying the Olympics and the sports, but I'm also enjoying reading all these side notes and sidebars about the Olympics and what's going on.
I'm gonna put it on my radar.
Yeah, it seems to be definitely a lot more this year, a lot more talk and news coverage about it.
Okay, good. I'm going to put it on my radar. So Okay, well, it's time's up, right? And we have a busy week ahead of us as well. So, and I'm sure you all do
Back to
too.
the office.
So we'll let you go. Again, thank you so much. Thanks again to Leah Frazier for joining us. We hope you all have a wonderful week. Stay in tune and keep up with this across our social media at Susan and Waylon.
Waylon. Also, please visit On Air Media and check out our sibling podcast.
Sure.
And special thanks to Jansen, who is our producer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a great
We'll see you
week.
next Monday at 10 o'clock.